And then Kimberly, I'm not sure if you have the agenda in front of you, but I will have it on the big screen for you. Even though it's a small screen in front of me, it's on the big screen. Okay. We go ahead and try to.
We are live on YouTube.
All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the NAC meeting on February 18. We'll start out with our welcome and introductions, and then we'll go into our agenda that is provided. First, we will begin by acknowledging the land that we're on. The Dinaina have lived, hunted, and gathered within the Cook Inlet region for thousands of years. We thank the Dinaina for their stewardship of the lands, water, air, and all life that sustains us within their traditional lands. We respect the Dinaina cultural ways and their homelands and shall strive to be good neighbors. So I'm going to go ahead and ask for Chairwoman Kimberly to go ahead and start with introductions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chrislyn. Hi, everybody. I'm Kimberly Santagata, the chairperson. I'm half Nubat with 3 children attending Polaris K-12 school, and our youngest is at Cook Inlet Native Head Start. Shannon, you're next.
Wonga Ayayurak. Everybody can hear me, yeah? Okay, good fun. I got it down. Wonga Ayayurak. I'm Shannon Hawkins. Our family's from Nome, Wales, and Little Diamond. And I am a parent representative. My sister Tyler will introduce herself later. Tanya.
Looks like Tanya's not here. Shonda?
Hi, I'm Shanda Losi. I'm Standing Rock, Lakota, and I have a 4th grader in the Rogers Park Highly Gifted program.
Hi, I am Megan Sherman. I have 3 kids in the district, 2nd and 3rd graders at Bowman, and then I have an 8th grader at Handshoe.
Jocelyn, are you able to introduce yourself? Well, we can come back to Jocelyn. How about Angela? And Angela, I couldn't hear the sound very well, so I don't know if the microphone is set up, but I want to be able to hear you all clearly.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is it better? Is it better or worse? Okay. Wanga Osbana, hi. My name's Angela. I am a senior at service this year. My family is from Nome, Wales, and Little Diamond.
Thank you, Nishay.
Oka Skavak Unga Savlukti Unga. My name is Nishay Time Andrew. I am Yupik and Anupak. I am a senior at Service High School.
Thank you. Elena? Is Elena present? Can we go back to Jocelyn? Is Jocelyn there?
Sorry, hello, this is Jocelyn. I'm Yupik and Aleut, and my kids are also Inupiaq too. I have a 9th grader at Highland Academy and a 1st grader at College Gate Yupik Immersion Program, and our youngest is not in Head Start yet. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre.
Yeah, I'm Brian McIntyre. I am a proud parent of 2 graduates of the Anchorage School District. My oldest is a senior at Harvard this year, and my youngest is taking a year off, but he'll be a sophomore next fall going to Fort Lewis in Colorado. And I teach 5th grade at William Tyson Elementary School. Sorry.
Oyana, Ms. Starr.
Waka. My name is Jakihak Georgiana Starr. I am from Skowron Bay, Alaska. I am Yupik, and I'm also Koyukon Athabaskan. This is my 8th year teaching 4th grade at Native Charter School. My son is a graduate of East High School. I forgot to add that before. And it's been a real interesting year, and it continues. So I'm glad to be here today.
Hi, Waka Ricky.
Waka Crystalline. My name is Ricky Lind. I teach music at Winterberry and Wilkashula, both Anchorage charter schools. Yupik name is Galichuk, and I am Yupik and Alutik. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Brown.
Good evening. Hi, everyone. My name is Doreen. My Yupik name is Agafia. I'm a senior director for Title VI Indian education and also migrant education. And I always say, but more importantly, I'm a mom. I have 2 children. I have a 25-year-old who is in Denver, Colorado, graduated from Fort Lewis. So if you want ever to commiserate, let me know. And then I also have an 8th grader who's attending Romig. Thank you, everyone.
Liana, my name is Crystalline Scott, and I am an Indian education supervisor for the district. I have a 3rd grader, Uyakok, who is working on his 1-foot high kick. I set up a ladder. I'll show pictures sometime. So I'm hoping for him to do JNYO. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you all for being present. We have a lot of good information to share. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Julianne Bourdon, the administrative assistant for Title VI Indian Education. I have a son who is down in Montana. Real quick side note, my husband and I went down a couple weekends ago and got to watch him score and have an assist. So very excited. So glad to be back.
Thank you. And we have 2 guest speakers, special guests of curriculum. And so, Melanie, would you please introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Melanie Sutton. I am the Health and Physical Education Curriculum Coordinator for grades K through 12. And it's my pleasure to join you this evening.
Thank you. And Jennifer?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Romer, and a lot of people refer to me as Jen, and I am Yupik and Gwich'in, and very happy to be here. I'm the K through 12 Social Studies Curriculum Coordinator.
Can't hear you, Crystalline.
Okay, sorry. Well, it's probably good you didn't have to hear me narrate that I'm going to show the agenda for your approval, NAC. So go ahead, Kimberly.
Would we do roll call first?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Kimberly?
Here.
Ricky?
Here.
Shanda? Angela?
Here.
Georgina?
Here.
Elena? Shannon?
Here.
Jocelyn?
Here.
Brian?
I'm here.
Nishay?
Here.
Megan?
Here.
Tanya? And Shanda, are you still on?
I am here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum.
So we'll call to order the meeting, February meeting of the Native Advisory Committee at 6:12 p.m. on Thursday, February 18th. And I would like to entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda. Angela?
I'll second. This is Shanda.
Is there any discussion about the agenda? Seeing and hearing no discussion, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor of accepting the agenda, please vote now.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The agenda passes. I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the January 21st, 2021 NAC meeting.
Shannon makes a motion to approve January 21st, 2021.
This is Ricky. I'll second.
So we have a motion to approve the minutes for the January 21st, 2021 Native Advisory Committee meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, I will call for the vote. All those that are in favor of us accepting the meeting minutes, please vote.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And that motion carries. And we'll now move to the Middle School Indigenous Native Games Project. And that, I believe, is Melanie.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to join this group once again. I had the privilege of being here a couple of years ago when we began our project at the elementary level and created a new unit for elementary PE required in their programming for K through 6, which was Indigenous Northern Games. And this year we were able to, with support from the Indian Ed Division, to move that to middle school. And we have now created an entire new unit for middle school representing Indigenous Northern Games. So since I have the opportunity to share a screen, I'd like to show you kind of what we're doing. All right, I'll start off with the book. So this is a guidebook which we produced with a team of PE teachers at the middle school level and carried over a little bit from the elementary, as well as we had Kyle Worrell join us and Nicole Johnston to help us to make sure that we double check this through a lot of different lenses, not just the PE one. And the the opportunity to do this arose when we looked at our unit in elementary, and we saw that the games that we were playing were not totally representative of all different games that are played in Indigenous cultures in the northern region, that they were just basically a few key games from Janwayo. We wanted to make it a much broader representation that honored all the different games that are played. So our elementary one was completed a couple of years ago. This is the middle school version. So each PE teacher will get a kit with everything they need to play all of these games, plus instructions for the games. And this is the book that they get. So I'm going to page through just real quick to show you what it looks like. Let me make that bigger because that's really tiny. I don't know about the rest of you, but I can't see that small. So let me see if I can get it a little bigger. View. Ooh, too big. My apologies. Let's try 100. Okay. So this is just the credit page and then the overview. We have a section here which talks about each of the different games that we were looking at. So Arctic Winter Games, Native Youth Olympics, World Eskimo Indian Olympics. And then we have the basic look of how it would lay out for a 10-day unit in middle school and all the different ways that they can arrange that in stations so that they can have an opportunity to engage students in learning about all the different games. The typical page for one of the activities like Seal Hop, they're all formatted the same way. They start off with a history of the game, and then it simply goes into how to play the game with the equipment, objectives, movements, scoring, because middle school is about engaging in not just learning the game, but also learning how to officiate and score it. And then we include some of the records, the highest records at the moment, and then pictures of the actual game. So this goes through every single activity that we have in our outline. So there's a ton of them. See everyone leaning in, so I'll leave it up there for a second. In addition to all of these, we've developed posters that go along in the kit. So each activity would have everything needed to teach and engage in that activity. So including like the paracord to string up the ball and everything else you might need for, I'm even cutting all the sticks to the right length for the dowels. We have posters in there as well. So these are the station cards. So you can see each one of the activities has a station card that goes with it. And this, after you've taught the game, you position one for that station. So let me show you the bench reach one. And you can see it has a picture of the actual game. And then it has the description and the basis of the game. So this is just a quick view of it that would go at a station after you've taught the activity in depth. And then we also have videos for each one that was produced. So there's Kyle doing bench reach. My apologies. So we have all of this that will go out in a kit to every single middle school PE teacher. We have trainings that are associated with it, and we'll be rolling those out at the beginning of next year once our kits are fully, they're in processing right now, all the materials. These poster sets and the booklet itself are all in process of being printed at the moment. The PD will occur, professional development for the teachers will occur. We're actually going to be doing every single one at August. And that's when they'll all get their kit after they've tried every single activity and learned how to do it. Our next step in this development will be moving into high school. So at the same time that we were able to order our middle school kits, we also started ordering all our materials for our high school kits. And next year, hopefully, we'll be able to develop the actual unit plans for high school and then develop their professional development. So it will roll K through 12 by the time we're finished. Are there any questions about what we're doing?
There wasn't a question, but one comment that Angela had said was like, "Oh man, I wish I was in middle school again."
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, we will share all of these items with high school as well. They'll be having their own sets too. So, yeah, that's not going to really help very much in the next year or two, though, right?
Maybe she'll repeat her senior year. I'm just kidding. She's on track and she'll graduate.
Maybe you should come back and help us engage in these activities in middle school, because we can definitely use some extra hands when we're learning them. So that would be fantastic. And we would love to have an extra person in there who's actually done the games, because not all of our PE teachers are that skilled at doing all this. So we've got a lot of training to do, and we could definitely use supports.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting to see, and I'm really glad that you guys are working on creating more content for high schoolers and for them to have more of a focus during a class. So that's exciting to hear. Yay!
Thanks. Our high school is actually going to be a complete class on its own, a course on its own. So elementary is a 2-week unit. Middle school is a 2-week unit, and high school will actually be its own course. So you can take it as a full PE course for a full half credit of PE. Yes.
This is Georgiana. I'm over at Native Charter School. Just as a side note, we currently do not have a PE teacher, but we do have a middle school. So we're kind of in a unique situation. So I just want to make sure that as far as distribution, that we still have access to the materials, so that at least the school has access to the materials. So something to think about.
We sent you an elementary kit when you didn't have the elementary. So there should be an elementary kit somewhere in the school already. And you're definitely on our list to receive one for middle school. So we have enough that we've made it so that every single school will get it, whether they're a charter or alternative or a gen ed. That way everyone has access, and all teachers can access the PE folders for the Indigenous games from elementary. And once we publish the middle school, every teacher can access that who has an ASD account.
I'll have to go dig in the gym room and see what's in there then.
Yes, let me know if you can't find it, and we can point you in the right direction. So feel free, anybody, to email me if you're like, where can we get that? Plus, we have extras from the elementary kits that we made sure that Indian Ed has to loan out. Or if you guys want to do like family nights at your school and you need multiples of these. We built big stands, wooden stands. So if you don't have access in a gymnasium, you want to take it outside, you need extra stands. And we even built a couple of bench reaches. And we will loan them out. You can check them out through us. We are more than happy to share, and we'd love to see as much activity as possible.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky, I see your digital hand up.
Oh, thank you. Melanie, I'm wondering if you have a roster of competitive Indigenous games school sites in our district that participate. Because when I was a student in Dillingham City Schools, we weren't able to compete until 6th grade. And even so, it was only grades 6 through 12 that played them competitively. Do you have a roster for us? I'm looking online and I can't find one.
Of who's currently competing or what they're competing in. As far as JNYO, we do compete, and we actually usually have coaching addendas and everything that go along with it. So we highly encourage our teachers. This year it's a little bit different because we're virtual, and PE at elementary are generalist, as you know, as a music person. They're generalist, and so our participation is a little bit different this year. But we do participate in JNYO and encourage that. We do at NYO as well. As far as for WIU and Arctic games, that falls more in the secondary activities realm than it does in the elementary. I deal mostly with the elementary after school, and then everything in school for PE activities is through a different division at secondary.
Thank you, because at Rilkashula, where I'm at, there was another sport that was coached at Rilkashula by a Rilkashula coach, However, Polaris, which is a neighboring school just down the street, didn't have a coach for that particular sport. So they were able to send those students to us at Rokashul. So that's why I'm wondering if they have a roster. Like maybe if I had some students at one of my two charter schools, middle schoolers even.
Independently, if they're looking to sign up next year when we actually do have coaching, every single school who has a PE teacher gets a notification from me about how to sign up for a coaching addenda for JNYO and for the secondary addenda, which is funded by Cook Inlet Tribal Council to take them to the actual games. If they choose not to do that as a PE teacher, they're more than welcome to pass that on to anyone else to or to someone to join them. And then if it comes up that your school doesn't have anybody taking advantage of the coaching addendas that are out there, they can always coach their own team, but they could also join in with another. Most of those practices are occurring after school or sometimes even during the lunches. And you can always email me and I will give you like whoever's in this year that's just taking a team. And then we can hook you up so that everybody has an opportunity.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any other questions for Melanie Sutton?
How about a virtual round of applause? Because in my experience as an educator and as a student, this is like a big deal. Because this was never offered, to any of my schools growing up, even district-wide. So thank you so much, Melanie, for doing that for us.
It's my pleasure. And we hope to, once we get it all done, be able to share it statewide so others can utilize what we've developed as a team. So, thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate your support.
Leanna, Melanie. Okay, so next up we have Jennifer Romer with an update for the third grade curriculum.
Okay, I would like to say good evening and thank you for having me here tonight. I know that I will give a brief update of the entire project for grade 3 social studies, but I want to start by thanking, there's a number of people in this room who have helped and contributed to this very comprehensive project. And it's pretty groundbreaking to create this type of curriculum at this level within our own school district. And it's groundbreaking enough that DEED, or the Statewide Department of Education, has already expressed interest in connecting with us. So that's very exciting. And I will say that I have a number of things to share with you, but I'd like to give some background about the project and sort of what's involved, because we had many wheels sort of simultaneously working with this. And I know that there are some people in the room that have not heard about it. And so just to give you a background, at the third grade level, we teach Alaska Native history and culture. And we teach that all year long. And it has been a very, very long time since the curriculum was updated. And so now we've been working for what seems like a very long time on this project, so long that I can't even remember how long. And COVID has sort of contributed to lengthening that, because we did start a pilot last spring. And then right after we started is when we were unable to return to school. But what I would like to share with you is that there are many working parts with this project. One, a student reader was created. So that would be like the student textbook for the third graders. A teacher guide was created. We actually have a member of the teacher design team in the room right now. Georgiana, thank you. And the student reader is actually being off to print right now. And so it will get a shipment in the late spring of all of those books for every third grade classroom across the district for our launch next year. So on top of what's usually in a curriculum, the teacher guide and the student reader, we also will have a website that is in development right now with supplemental resources, because we know that there's a lot of resources for Alaska Native culture and history. And we want to have opportunities for teachers to learn along with their students. So some of that website material won't necessarily always be shown to students it will help educate some of our teachers, because we know that we could have a military dependent teacher move up here, and they wouldn't know anything about Alaska Native history or culture, but they would be asked to teach that course. And so the website will be ongoing, and that's in development right now. I want to thank everyone who missioned this project, because what else makes it groundbreaking is that we had multiple teams of community members that have contributed. We had a cultural consultant team that was made up of Alaska Native people representing all regions and all different age groups and or professions or elders. And there's some people in the room that sat on that committee too. Their feedback was given to us, and it was taken very seriously, gone through every single piece of feedback from every single member. And massive changes were made to the student reader and different aspects because of that cultural consultant feedback. And we know as Indigenous people that that's very important, so that we have ownership of our own history and how it's being taught. Now I'll dive into the fun stuff. Before I share a screen though, because I do want to show you, I have the PDF version that was sent to the printers, but I want to show you, and it's going to be kind of hard to see over Zoom, so I wish I was in the room with you guys, but I have one test copy of the hardbound book. So if you can see, it's a hardbound book, so it will actually be a textbook for each student. I hope you can see that. And then I'll show you some of the PDF version, but if you look at, we had also commissioned an artist, Beth Hill. I know her very well since she was in elementary school. She's from the McGrath region. And she painted some paintings that you'll see throughout the book, one representing each region. So you can see in the textbook, I don't know if I'm showing it right. But as you can see, it's a nice hardbound book. So it's an actual textbook. But what I want to do is share my screen and show you at least a little bit without giving you, I hope I don't make you too dizzy scrolling through. Can you see my screen? So this is the front cover. And what the artist did with this, as you can see, is the foreground person is a Yupik woman, and she is using an ulak. And then you can see the people behind her are representative of all the different regions of Indigenous people. So that was very purposeful. And what we did was we took her paintings and digitized each of them. I'll scroll through just a little bit. We have a nice foreword explaining the process from the superintendent, Dr. Bishop. But I wanted to show you the table of contents a little bit, because this book itself is what we would call historical fiction. So that means there are segments of it that are actual history and representative of that, but also parts of the storyline are told through a fictional story. And it's called The Nest Egg because basically it's a classroom at this charter school. And basically they have access to this egg, and this egg can travel back into time. And it sounds a little silly until you actually read the storyline, and then it's pretty engaging and students love it. But each group of students will get into the nest egg, and they will travel back to a certain time period representing each of these Indigenous groups. Now, we know that the Dena'ina are studied in second grade. We started with Unit 1 Dena'ina, though, because we wanted third graders. It's the beginning of the year. We want them to remember and access some information that they may have already been through. But the other thing, and the key component, is this: they're now going to be taking on geography for the first time. And what is location, and what does that mean? And so we want them to make a connection with their own region, because we live on Dena'ina land. And so it's pretty exciting to start out there. Then Unit 2, we move into Southeast. Unit 3 is Unangan and Sukbiat. And then Unit 4 is Yupik and Chupik. And then we go to Athabascans, and it's really hard to cover a unit with Athabascans. We wanted to go back to Athabascans because Dena'ina is not, we know, not the only Athabascan group, but we focus predominantly on Ahtna in this section because we do highlight Katie John. So I think it's very important to highlight some of these very key political figures and cultural knowledge bearers for our students. And then, of course, the last unit is Inupiat. I always mess up pronouncing this, but we know that this is Yupaget, and it's St. Lawrence Island. So I just want to show you some of the graphics. Now, here's what we want to introduce to students really quickly at the beginning is what is historical and real, and then what is historical fiction. So we give them a nice graphic to separate those things. And as you can see, there are call out boxes that are pulling them into what are they learning about, whether it's art or the housing. There's a lot about housing. I just want to scroll to some of the photos though, because we took a lot of archived photos from, I hope I'm not making you guys too dizzy. Each of the black and white photos in here were sourced from the archives. And part of that is copywriting, but part of it is, as you can see, if I scroll a little bit further, here's the painting. This is supposed to be a couple of students going into the nest egg, and they're visiting this South Central region or Dena'ina country. But let me scroll to a different unit than the beginning ones. Oh, close your eyes so you don't get too dizzy. But as you can see, we have a lot of maps. If we look, it was purposeful to put all different types of photos when we were sourcing these photos. So let's get to one. Here we go. So as you can see here, we have a clan house, a Tlingit clan house on the left side, and some regalia. And then on the right side, we have students. And this is a current photo of students from the Yakutat area. And as you can see, we did not put, we were very purposeful about the captions so that students could learn from each of the captions. But I also want to show you one more photo from this section. And then if you guys want me to show you more things later. But we also tried to put, this is a photo of one of my friend's daughters. We tried to put modern, very modern photos. She is a young activist, and we want to represent that we are still here as Indigenous people. And so did you guys want me to, do you think I should scroll through more? Because I have a little bit more to show you, and I don't want to take up too much time. But I'll save that for questions, and then I'll move my sharing, because we're also in the pilot, which is in Canvas. And I just wanted to show you really quickly, we have approximately 15 teachers piloting throughout schools all across from all the way down by Chugiak to the south side, trying to represent each area of the school district as much as possible. But what we've done is we put it into Canvas, so some of you students sitting in the room can recognize this. They will only be piloting 4 lessons. And what we've done is we've tied it, as you can see, the teacher resource page is tied with a link to the teacher guide, the student reader, and a feedback survey. So they'll give feedback for each of the lessons for every lesson that they pilot, they will give feedback for each lesson. And we're trying to collect as much feedback as possible because the teacher guide is in draft form. So we will make changes accordingly. And then one last thing I wanted to add, which is very, very important, is units 3 and units 6 are project-based learning units. So those will be longer and more comprehensive, leading into a culminating project for students, and they will have an opportunity to go a little bit deeper in those areas because the lessons are spread out, building up to that large project. And so I know that's a lot of information, but I do want to say that we are so enthusiastic about the launch. We still have a lot of work to do, before we launch, but this is very groundbreaking, and I know everyone is super proud to be involved in this project. So now I'll open it for questions, just because that was a lot of information.
I just want to say thank you, because we've kind of been without at elementary level for a long time. Not without, but very old materials, outdated materials. So it's a wonderful thing I think you're doing.
Thank you. And it's obviously a lot of people involved, a lot of parts running together for this, but I feel like the kids are going to feel like they're at Christmas once they start. The teachers and kids will feel like it's Christmas time, because they'll have all this new material and updated material. So thank you for that comment.
Jen, that hardcover is so beautiful. The photos have turned out great. It looks wonderful. Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm. I see we have a couple other questions. I can't see them. Is it Jocelyn?
Yes. I just wanted to say I thought this was really exciting to see starting at the education level, because growing up in Alaska and going through school myself, and we didn't have anything like this. And until I think it was 8th grade or something around there is when I finally got anything based on Alaska, and it was really brief, and it only mainly focused on outsiders and not anything about Alaska natives. So I didn't get any education about our own culture until I was in college. So I felt like I really missed out on learning as I was growing, anything outside of what my own culture was. And I think that's really something that's going to help a lot of students get a better picture about, what it's like to be an Alaskan from all the areas of our state, because we're so diverse in all of our different cultures. And I think this will bring about a better understanding for people growing up to see what it's like to have cultural competency, and like a better understanding for cultural safety framework too, to be instilled at a younger age. So that's really, really exciting and encouraging from coming as a parent to know that that's something that's going to be, taught for my kids too. And hopefully it goes throughout the state.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing, because I think that all of us people that are Indigenous in this room have had a similar experience, that we did not get that exposure unless it came from home until we were in college, or just little tidbits. So that's an important comment, and I appreciate it. Thank you. And I cannot see the name, or maybe I don't know how to pronounce it. I see another hand up over here.
Yeah, Oswana and Ayaya. How did last year go again? Did it stop?
Yes, because when we started the pilot, and we had fewer teachers piloting last year, and we started face-to-face, and then COVID hit, and no one was in school. So at that point, it was best for, as a project team, we decided it was best for us to put a halt at the project, because we were basically all hands on deck in the district trying to figure out what to do with schooling in general. And so we did not want that to impact the project. And so it stopped, but all of the participants that were in the pilot last year that are still teaching 3rd grade are involved in the pilot now. So they were still enthusiastic to be participating.
I'm glad. It looks really good. I like it a lot.
Thank you. Oh, I see Georgiana's hand up.
Yeah, I really want to thank you for your leadership in this. And it was a huge undertaking. And, there was a lot of different people involved. And I think having you at the helm, having come from your background and your exposure in Alaska, and just, the being able to look at the big picture made a really big difference, because I know that there was a shift in leadership before. And so thank you for sticking it through the pandemic. And this is really exciting for students to have this opportunity at a younger age where they're really developing their ideas. And, to me, kids younger and younger are being bombarded from all these images and stereotypes. And, people tend to focus on what's obvious and what's in the news. And, we have to look at Native people as still being here, as still being relevant, as being leaders. And having kids see that at a younger age, gives them the correct impression that we want them. These kids see and hear and look at these stories and know that we're still relevant, and that, they can see them, see things through fresh eyes, and know that this is something that, is part of their education. So it's important. So thank you for that, Jen.
Thank you. That really warms my heart to hear it. And that's an important thing to hear. It's been hard at times, but I think my eye has always been on the prize. As an Indigenous woman, what's the importance of work? Because I'm an Indigenous woman first and an educator second. And I think the best thing we can do is give back to our communities as a whole, but it's really going to impact Native families, I think.
Ricky, did you have your hand up?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Jennifer. This is it's really important to me too. I really appreciate it because I know it's viable and true, and that it's composed and reviewed by authentic culture bearers. So that's why it hits me right here. So thank you so much for taking the lead and pulling from all corners of our state. Because like Jocelyn said, I had a similar experience to her where our district is blessed enough to have a bilingual teacher, but that teacher focused mostly on the values and the history of our people in the region, not as much as Alaskan cultures as a whole. And like she said about the Alaska history class we took in 8th grade, is more or less Russian history, as far as I remember it as being, is mostly territorial things and things of Russian history. But I love it because it's attractive, it's age appropriate, and everyone could tell just by seeing first glance, it's going to stand the test of time. And this is coming from a Waldorf person. I'm a Waldorf inspired teacher, so curriculum is really close to me, being age appropriate. So just know that this is coming from a curriculum snob, that it looks really good. Yeah, and age appropriate is really important to me because we hear left and right about teaching the truth. And it's Waldorf philosophy because our curriculum follows brain development. So according to our studies in Waldorf, it's not appropriate to study trauma-related things, specifically things like Christopher Columbus, until 7th grade, because by that time the student could actually take it cognitively. So thank you so much again for doing this.
Yes, thank you for the comment. And I do agree with you, studying about natives from all across the regions of Alaska. And I mean, what we know, Anchorage is the biggest village in the state. So we have every group represented here. So that's very important. Any other questions?
No, but I have a comment. I want to say thank you, Jen, because yeah, it's been a really amazing journey and but much needed and really fulfilling. So thank you. I want to say thank you for your leadership on this and the collaboration. And then I want to say everyone on this Zoom right now has touched this book and actually has assisted with this particular project. So I want to say thank you to the Native Advisory Committee members. You are part of this, and you should all be, holding your head up, walking a little taller, because your efforts are noted as well. And I just want to say thank you because it takes all of us contributing and giving feedback. So I want to say thank you. This has been a collaborative effort, just like our Native values. This was an undertaking by all of us. And I want to say again, thank you. Greatly appreciated. And so proud. So I'll stop now before I cry.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Yes, we need the collective, but I also do want to give Doreen some props too, because her leadership in this and her willingness to, when we have to explain why, it's like sometimes her and I are the ones in the room telling everyone, this is why we have to do it this way. So thank you, Doreen.
Koyana, any other questions? Ricky?
Thank you. I also believe we're about a year overdue for a launch party for this project. I was so looking forward to it, and then COVID-19 occurred. So just to let you guys know, again, in Doreen's words, hold your feet to the fire for, this launch party, even if it's a virtual one.
Yes, our intent is to still figure out how that's going to happen, because that will be very important, I think, for everyone. A celebration.
Great, thank you. So I think, it would be nice. I don't know if our NAC members will be able to see the final pieces when we're done and when we're going into the next year, but maybe that's something we can provide the PDF. Okay. It's very beautiful. So good job. Okay. Well, thank you, Jennifer. So I'm looking at the time. I'm going to briefly now introduce the draft grant timeline for Title VI with the EASY grant for next year. And it should not take very long to describe what the dates are and what the intent is. So I'm going to go ahead and transition now into the EASY grant opener. And then we can talk about elections and the elections committee as well. If you want to interject with that, that would be great. So we are preparing our EASY grant timeline and our EASY application, which is basically our federal component of applying for Indian education funds. And this is important because this is how we attain our funding year to year. We are applying for the third year of a 4-year grant. And so there's not a significant amount of changes in the grant, but as good stewards, we are responsible for all the functions and all of the reporting, so we can keep our programs and our wonderful staff in our schools and be able to help support, programs and curriculum. So I had sent out the EASY grant timeline. We are in the federal government has opened up the application, and our first part is due March 11. And that means that we are declaring and we're submitting our intent to attain the grant. And more importantly, we have to pull in our numbers of enrollment. And so we did have concerns about our 506 enrollment. Our numbers overall have been decreased, but with Doreen's leadership, we have shared to OIE that we are concerned about the numbers, and it's not just affecting us as one of the largest, actually the largest Title VI grant recipient in the nation. We want to make sure that we are looking out for our other tribal members who may have decreased enrollment. So we are advocating for maintaining our funding. But part of the EASY application for the next phase is the public forum. So you'll see on our website, but also in front of you, that we would like to schedule the public forum April 15. And the tribal consultation, April 22nd, and then elections on May 6th, which would give time for recruitment and for applications as well. All in all, our grant is due with your signatures before May 14, and we will hopefully attain your approval of the grant on May 6 during that election meeting. It should be, you should well prepare. You'll have the documents, you'll be in the know of the grant prior to that date for your approval. So I just wanted to share that with you because this is important to us for our funding for Title VI. So does anybody have any specific questions about this process? It takes time to digest. It takes time to look at the calendar dates. And we'll go ahead and share them as well via a calendar invite for you so you know what our deadlines are. It's hard to follow up all the curriculum sharing with the grant details. Okay, so I think probably the most important, well, that's all important to me, but tribal consultation is where I really hope to have the participation and invitation. You'll be welcome there, NAC as well, for tribal consultation to hear what our tribes in the Anchorage area, since we are on their land, that we hear their voices and we are able to consult with them. Same with the public forum and looking at the program initiatives for the next year. Ricky, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. In workshops that I've attended, attendance at tribal consultation is sometimes a challenge. So I'm wondering if you would like us to help you recruit for that, because it's a public event, right? For
the tribal consultation, we'll be sending invites to the tribes. You will be invited as well. Doreen, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a direct invitation to the tribes.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So we won't be streaming to YouTube, but we will be doing a formal invitation, obviously, because we believe and know of our government-to-government relationship with our tribes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. But we will need help with our elections and public forum invitationals. So this was sent to your email. It's also in the Google Drive. And if you have any questions, you're thinking about things, just shoot us an email, give us a call, please. And also part of that timeline is the election process. Looking at that timeline, if May 6th is indeed and set to be the election date, then applications for the open seats would be due April 12th. So the application review process can take place. And we are able to recruit in a lot of different modalities, but that's where NAC helping with marketing and sharing amongst parents, students, student leadership, our tribes, INCSAs, throughout ASD, AEA is definitely necessary for the election process. Does anybody have any insight or suggestions for ideas for recruitment? Ricky, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of like scouting. Like these days, I'm noticing, especially during times of pandemic, it's kind of like pulling teeth to get new members into any agency, but it helps to think of it as your brand. Like if sure, I'm a music teacher, but I have a Title VI brand. So I'll look for other Indigenous educators like me or anyone, because we have Title VI students at all our schools anyway. So if I'm in a particular building or a situation where there's another educator from ASD, get to know them a little bit and then be like, hey, are you interested in Title VI? Kind of like make it our brand and kind of show it off a little bit and say we're doing so much stuff. We're supporting so many things. just kind of make it like our brand and be like, hey, are you interested in running? Because our applications are due on April 12th and our elections are May 6th. Just kind of like throw it out there. It's going to be my new version of small talk coming up. And I think we have ANPA connections, right? The Alaska Native Professionals Association. I noticed my past participation in ANPA years ago, it was probably 4 years ago. It was like competitive at first. Like I didn't get the seat when I first ran, but then some shifting happened and I got the seat kind of by accident. But then after that, involvement kind of petered off. So we had to kind of make it our brand, like I said, like, hey, are you interested in growing leadership with your own people? Consider ANPA. Like we kind of made it our brand. Sorry, I had to throw it out there just because of Shannon.
Doreen, go ahead.
One of the other, I remember we did this years ago, but making sure that our staff reach out to families as well. I think I tasked them with calling 2, 3 to 5 parents that might be interested in having personal conversations about the importance of Native Advisory Committee. They weren't interested in running. Don't forget that we have monthly meetings, and navigating the website with them and sending them the application, answering questions, or referring them to our office to answer questions as well. But we've recruited parents that way as well.
We'll be posting something on Facebook, right? Okay.
Yep. Sooner than later, if these dates seem acceptable to everyone. I did reference them against cultural dates of significance and looking at our timelines of things. I don't believe that there's anything major. There's testing windows within April, but there's not, to my knowledge, it's the elections would be the week before graduation. So it's that Thursday before graduation week. So, that may be something to consider to talk about. But we do have, we have these goal dates, and to my knowledge, we will be hosting, as recommended and considered by the subcommittee, the election subcommittee, that we do share everything via Zoom at this time. So that would be another discussion point. Megan, hi. Sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Apologize.
That's okay. I was wondering how many positions will we have?
Oh, thank you for asking that. I believe, let me take a look at my list. We will have 3 parent positions open. We will have 1 AEA, and it looks like we have actually 3 student members to fill in. And then looking at the bylaws for NAC, we would, again, as an extension to our tribes, reach out to our tribes to say we do have our open seats for you. We have a space at the table, and we will invite you over and over again to make sure we have tribal representation on our NAC as at-large members.
Thank you, Crystalline.
Thank you. And if you're wanting a printout of the updates to the seats, we do need to update our website with your approval of the latest bylaws. And those dates were extended, remember, pushed forward 1 year. And so with the intent of a possible revert back to the original bylaws after March 18 or after the electives, whatever NACC fits on your agenda. But I can go ahead and provide those terms and the PDF that I'm referencing. I have in front of me, but it's not on my computer right now. So as for recruitment timeline, we can go ahead and share out the flyers and informationals early next week. Okay. All right.
Janda has her hand up too.
Yeah, I lowered it because that was my question too. How many seats that we had?
Yeah, so three parent seats will be up for election, 1 AEA, and 3 student seats.
And do you happen to have a list of who's expiring and how many terms they've run or have been on?
Yeah, yes, we have a list, and we can share with you via PDF, via email, the listed positions. So it for the record, it looks like Shanda, Kimberly, and Megan, your terms end May 2022 because of the shifting of 1 year from the bylaws that were adjusted forward. So Tanya, Shannon, and Jocelyn would be up, their seats up for re-election as the parent committee members. But I will send that PDF to you, and I can do that this evening. Okay.
Does anyone have any questions on that? I just want to say with students, you serve 1 year, and you're welcome to run again if you're going to continue your career with Anchorage School District as a student. I don't know if anybody's in that boat, but we would like you to assist as well with seeing if there's any students that would be interested in serving next school year. So we really need your assistance on that piece as well. So thank you. We rely on you guys to get friends and potentially family to join our efforts. Thank you.
Okay, Cleona, thank you. So if we don't have any further questions about elections, I can go briefly over an update to our financial report, and then
the question.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Let me see here. I tend to not see the hand up, so I apologize. Go ahead, Ricky.
Oh, it's something I could have investigated on my own. Because I'm home, I don't have my binder with me with our bylaw. So I'm just wondering how long because I know that the terms are listed along with the seat, but I forgot like the maximum amount of terms that teachers could run for or parents could run for. And if you don't know them offhand, it's something we could visit at a future meeting. But I do remember that there was additional restrictions.
I believe the language is you can serve two-year terms that are consecutive, and then you must wait 1 year before jumping back in.
Well, that was for teachers. How about parents?
Parents as well.
Okay.
Parents are teachers. Parents are the number one teachers.
Of course. Thank you.
But if we maintain and keep our bylaw extensions, then we'll keep everyone forever. So, but no, that's something to look into as well. And I can again submit the language and the revamp. And we did meet as a election subcommittee to kind of look at the overview of and revisit the bylaws that were passed.
Okay, can I change my question to a point of personal privilege then? If you're sitting in this meeting now, please consider running again. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the financial report was provided. We are looking good with our Indian education financial report. We have had staffing vacancies that are out to rehire. We have some openings that are on frontline for 2 elementary schools and for the Romig community counselor. So we're hoping to have the recruitment. With our Indian education budget, 98% of our budget is in personnel and staffing. So we definitely want to fill in those positions soon. So you can always share on your social media that we are recruiting. Do you have any questions about the financial report? Let me look at my screen. Okay, no questions.
Actually, Chrisline, can you clarify, is that include the carryover from last year, or is that separate?
That is a separate report for the carryover. The carryover reporting, I believe, was shared via email. I don't think I put it in here. And the carryover funding did cover programs such as the NYO, the ING project, our book drive for K through 6 with Barnes & Noble, our Overdrive Sora e-book project with our indigenizing our Alaska Native curriculum or Alaska Native books in our library online. So we've tried to be very cognizant of that use of funding, including our technology distributions and added support to help our students succeed academically.
Thank you for sharing that. There is good that comes from the pandemic then, just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Some things are good, yes. Shonda.
Sorry, can you hear me? It takes forever for me to unmute. I just wanted to say thank you very much for the book drive. So my daughter is an avid reader, and she just got her books in the mail a couple days ago and loves them and is very, very happy. And also after our last meeting, she started exploring on Sora, the Indigenous sections, and loves that as well. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, yes. That a lot of that is our team effort. You know, in our office, it was a good collaboration as well. You know, looking within our team who love reading so much that they are spending extra hours and helping process those book orders. And we've served over, I believe, 350 students, and we are going to be working with secondary as well. One of the most popular books was The Water Protectors, and I know some people were a little bit frustrated, and but willing to wait for the publishers to finally catch up on making more of those books, because nationally, that book was on our list, and those will hopefully be sent out to families very soon. So thank you for sharing that.
Chris,
yeah, we got that one.
Oh, go ahead.
Real quick, the numbers for the Barnes & Noble might be higher. So
good. A
little bit higher. So
I'm hoping so.
Renee
that
said
was
we'll have some more. We've been having little scragglers coming in, but the numbers probably be a little bit higher than that.
Can you repeat that number again?
I don't know the exact number right now. Renee told me that there was like over 275 families that did it, but that's not including students breaking down for students. So she said the number could be a little bit higher. She'll have that for us when we get the final, all the final books in, orders in.
We have not set our dates for the secondary, but we're going to be marketing that opportunity for secondary. Okay. I want to make sure that we have enough time for you all to give guidance to us as ASD and Title VI. So I'll go into a quick overview of things to share for the cultural programming and things to look forward to. So Cheryl is in the middle of a carving session right now with middle school students with soapstone, so she's unable to attend. So I'll go ahead and showcase some of the wonderful things happening in our schools and in Zoom. So these are pictures of students at West High School working on NYO with Brian Walker. And so he's been working with small groups at West. They've been utilizing gym space to practice NYO. What a great sport for social distancing. So here are some pictures of our soapstone sessions that we had last week with Vincent Gregory, who's UPIT from CalSCAG. And so this was for grades 3 and 4, I believe, or 3 through 5. And that was a 2-day session with carving with actually one of those cuticle wood things really worked well for carving the ivory soap. And it was a fun project for students, but they got to learn how the different tiers of carving work from, you don't just jump into ivory, you start small and get the design and your focus. And so they'll be working with soapstone this week and then moose antler in later weeks. Cheryl's also working with high school students every Thursday from 2:30 to 3:30, and that's via Zoom, and that's a beading group. So if any high school students are interested, you can jump on in if you have beads, but if you don't have beads, you can always reach out to our office and we can provide you with some beads. There are also craft kits going out to schools and students as needed, and a lot of feedback, a lot of good hands-on production while learning a new craft for elementary students. On Tuesday, Diane Benson was able to present to 3 different sessions for middle school students for Elizabeth Peratrovich Day. So that was an amazing experience for our students, and she did a great job, and it was very engaging. For upcoming cultural programming, more carving, some painting, graduation regalia, maybe some Saturdays or on-site sessions to show students how to bead around caps or come up with ideas for their graduation regalia. And then and we are assessing right now student needs and flexibility of sites to see when those would be occurring. But we do know that we're hoping to help students who may need the extra guidance in person in a safe, socially distanced environment. Summer enrichment program is on our radar. We are looking to serve our 3rd through 8th grade in the month of June, but we are also waiting a little bit for more guidance for the school year, summer school. But we will be offering summer enrichment program both in person and then also with kits and virtual programming for our students, and those levels will be K through 12. But we are tentatively saving that date for the month of June for the in-person summer enrichment program. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop my share, mainly because I want to give ample time in our agenda for you all as NAC to have your dialogue and advocacy for what you feel is needed. And we have a good opportunity to write and submit your references and guidance and focus areas. You are able to create safe spaces with subcommittee, but we all in all are able to summarize and provide to this Anchorage School District School Board summaries of our meetings. And when I was aware of that, I realized that I love reporting to you, but I like to hear you talk more than anything. So I want to make sure that you all feel like you can advocate, share, talk, and guide and help steer the work that we do with our students in our schools and our work with parents. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share. And I don't have anything else to say except for, what do you think? Where should we go? What are you seeing, and what is it? What are those high need areas that that we need to focus on as we're nearing the end of the year and going into a new year? Oh, Ricky, and this is your time to talk. I know that you are able to raise your hand. So I guess I'll facilitate, and I'll be taking notes as well. But I guess I'll facilitate and have Ricky go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I took a screenshot because I wanted to make sure I remembered what those questions were. That's a good one about the educational areas needing more focus. I'm going to stew about that a little bit more. Policies being reviewed, not Title VI specifically, but I'm going to use Doreen's phrase again and saying, I'm going to hold AEA's feet to the fire with this thing that I introduced in 2019, where I asked the union for 2 union days for 2 teachers for when AFN is hosted here in Anchorage that could go and attend those sessions and hopefully bring whatever resolutions are made there at the actual AFN to Delegate Assembly, which is an event the union hosts every January with all the regions, all the local union regions in Alaska. And hopefully we can match those needs to those specific committees at that event. So I'm going to hold AEA's feet to the fire about that one, having those 2 teachers from ASD be able to go to AFN on union days. Areas in Title VI needing more focus. That's another good question. I'll stew about that too. But while I stew about that, I just need to put it out there that our people are just looking for connections. I'll give an example about my friend who lives in Kenai, and she's subsisted for years, and she does it. And she's just looking for a friend who she could share it with. And she goes on social media and says, I'll cook for you. So I messaged my cousin who lives there. I said, my friend would like to meet you. She misses sharing her Indigenous food with fellow Indigenous people. So just somehow drawing more connections. And while I have the mic, I wanted to speak through the chair to Nishay. Although you didn't make our last meeting, I put it out there that although we are able to adorn our graduation caps, that we should revisit the headdress idea. And we threw some ideas out there, and one that I recently thought about was if I was graduating and I wanted to wear a headdress, I get creative with the cap. I'd even cut slits in it so that my fur could go through. Just some ideas. But I do know that Nishay is passionate about that topic, so I just wanted to throw it out there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ricky, for thinking about me from last meeting, even though I wasn't there. And that is something I did want to bring up today. I was appointed to this amazing group because of that policy, because my principal suggested that I go to this group because of how powerful it can be. And I joined because when I graduate, I want to wear my Yupik headdress, and my time is coming up really soon. And I really want to know if there's anything that I can do on a student level, outside of testifying or writing more letters. If there's anything I can do to get this policy reviewed to be a little bit more comprehensive and more open to more things like me wearing a headdress, and maybe even going. I remember that when it was passed, the notification was an issue for a lot of people because it seemed demeaning to have to ask to wear a regalia. So I was if there's anything I can do to fix those things that I joined this committee for, I would love to.
Well, Ricky was speaking about connections. I just wanted to let you all know that my wife's cousin, Tara Bordakowski, is now the Director of Culture and Education Programs at the Heritage Center. So, and she's already looking for ways to outreach and connect. So that's a connection we have.
So I have three things right now. The first one is maybe we could do a formal request at the school board or to Dr. Bishop about the headdresses, and them being allowed under the Native regalia. The second thing is Yari Tool Walker, I think is how you say her last name, has put out on Facebook that she's wanting to do videos of her reading Indigenous books to young children. And I suggested that she try to get a hold of Title VI to maybe collaborate, because she's trying to buy the books that she's going to read in them. With her, I don't know if it's funds from the Heritage Center or if it's her own funds, because she's just put it on Facebook. And I don't know if she's reached out to anybody in Title VI yet or not, but that's what I suggested on Facebook to her. And then the third thing is, we had talked earlier in the year about approaching the school board to change the verbiage for Title VI Indian education to something that's more positive than what it currently is. And I think that's something that we should probably do, even if we don't do it this school year, but we need to look at that. But I know with like the current way the world is, there's so much positive change going around about this kind of thing that we might just want to like kind of grab onto the coattails of what's happening. But I don't know how you guys want to go forward with that.
Ricky?
Oh, thanks. Through the chair to Kimberly. I think, and I forgot her name. You told us that she is willing to reach out to us and read some children's books. And I don't know who her employer is, but when pandemic first started, our principals told my colleagues and I to be very careful about copyright. So I just wanted to tell you about, so if your friend reaches out to her and if she reaches out to Title VI, just be wary of any copyrights that may be attached to the books that she would like to read. And also through the chair to Nishay, question, similar to Kimberly's, wasn't there a resolution in the works from your high school to change the title of Title VI Indian education? I forgot.
Yeah, so kind of at the fault of the pandemic, the senior at the time from last year who proposed that is no longer at service. And so the policy, as far to my knowledge, is not active in my student government anymore at Service High School.
Oh, again, through the chair to Nishay, do you have access to that old resolution? And if you do, would you be willing to share it with us again?
Yeah, definitely. I can try to ask the new officers for the student government. I can see if they still have it and ask if I can forward it.
Thank you.
So a couple of things. The I second the copyright issue with books. There has been advice that we don't record books. However, reaching out to authors with written permission. One of our tutors did that for a book with Fry Bread, and the author was more than happy to say absolutely. And I think the author even shared her reading of the book. And so she had the email of written permission, and it is on our Facebook page. So it can, books are a work of art. There's story to tell, and many authors are wanting to share their story. But I would say with their permission, I think that gives permission in that legal sense. And so when we talk about all of these important things that you are sharing, I know that we are able to report to the school board. And so, summarizing and digging in and articulating what you would like to share, that may take some extra time beyond the 2 hours that we have with our updates and our business. And so, is there time or, urgency to create subcommittees to focus on your messaging? And, I just wanted to have that time of discussion in order to make sure that your roles here are taken seriously and put forward. And your voice does matter. So I just wanted to kind of open that up, that idea, and because I know a couple of these issues have been revisited. Ricky?
Keeping that in mind, Doreen had given me a couple leadership opportunities in the past where instead of her reporting to the school board, I reported for her to the school board. So there are some things that I learned how to go about it. But what I did was I took our minutes and I kind of arranged it in a way that flowed really well. And I passed that, what I wrote from our minutes to Doreen, and she okayed it. And I took it to the school board and reported it. And I was scared I was going to have only a couple of minutes like everyone else does for public comment. But they assured me that because it was a report, I had all the time in the world. Like they didn't give me a time limit. So it really helped. So I'd like to put that forward as maybe a suggestion to have you or Doreen offer that to one of our parent members, a teacher member, not me, because I've done it twice already. Just to give an opportunity to one of these other members to report to the school board for us, just so they could get that experience.
So Ricky and NAC members, I'll just let you know. So that was brought up a few, I guess in 2020, that NAC and NECAC would be giving updates. And then Dina, over this, not last weekend, or I guess 2 weekends ago, the school board had a retreat, and their desire was that we provide a written summary of the NAC and the NECAC meeting. So we sent something. I don't know, Chrislyn, if you want to forward that to them, that would be powerful, so you can see what summary we sent. And maybe next time, just because we wanted to get that out, they had requested it. It was a quick turnaround, like a couple days. So just to let you know, the next time we'll do it in development. I was quite pleased actually with what Chrislyn had sent, and it goes in what they call Board Connect, and it's not, it just goes straight to the board members. So just to let you know on that piece, that's what they've asked us to do. And it's not just our committee, it's also the special ed committee.
Oh, thank you for noting that. I sure wish it was still in person. There was some because I have friends that are in the district and they would tune into a school board meeting, but when they saw me get up there, they started extra paying attention. So I think it says it's something different when it's delivered like in person.
So Chrislyn, if you can note that, and we'll put that in our summary, or we can give that information to Dr. Bishop.
And to be honest, they weren't really paying close attention until they heard my voice. Sorry.
Hey, Doreen, I had a quick question about that. So did Dr. Bishop say why that was the request? Was it like a time-saving effort?
No, there was no explanation. It was just that was what the board wanted. So we can, and so the other thing is it's not public either. So that would be my second. I just want you to note that update is also not public record. It's going to the school board members. So just to let you know on that piece of it as well.
So to go with the question of what educational area needs more focus. I was thinking about the freshman Alaska Native Studies. From when I did it, it was not engaging for me and very whitewashed. Honestly, they didn't really talk about like it briefly talked about indigenous like culture, but it mostly focused on like the Russian side. So I think that could definitely be worked on.
Thank you for bringing that up. Our data show that one of the most frequent courses failed in high school is Alaska Native Studies. And it could be an assortment of reasons. Curriculum, disengagement, disinterest, lots of reading, I'm not certain. So, but there are good pockets then. It's different. But I know as an Indigenous person, it's a little bit like, what? I love Alaska. It's actually got a really interesting, we've got a very powerful history. And we have a lot of great precedents that we've had with our laws and changes and ingenuity. So it's hard to believe that such a subject would be more apt to fail than others.
I would also be curious on other courses that if we are able to pull the courses that our Alaska Native American Indian students are having trouble with, being able to have more support around that area, I feel like would be beneficial. Mm-hmm. That was super surprising to hear that lots of students fail Alaska Native Studies.
So I want to put a point of clarification just on the public. That our meetings are not, or updates are not public because our meeting is actually public. We have our minutes that we publicize on our website, and also this is videotaped and is available on YouTube. So that's not entirely the truth. So people can watch the meeting in their spare time on YouTube, and then also access the minutes through our website.
Thank you for sharing that, Doreen. I wonder, hold on a second. Maybe to Crystalline, would you be opposed if I wrote a letter in support? Maybe, I don't know. Because I've written letters before and they don't really go that far. But I do wish that our reports to the school board were in person, just because it casts a larger net to people who don't usually attend our meetings or look at our minutes. And that would be my reason. That's my rationale, is that hearing them in person at the board meeting just casts a way larger net. It gets us across to almost everybody. Thank you.
During our discussion tonight, I'm also reminded that we want to keep reminding the board that we'd like to have the subsistence needs in the summer thought of when they schedule the summer school for our students. And it would probably help some of the migrant ed students that are looking at needing to have that help for their family for food too, just as something we want to look at. So could we maybe request a meeting to bring these points up with the board or Dr. Bishop, so that we can be ensured that we're heard?
Crystalline, you and I can work on a meeting. It may not be with everyone, but I know in the past, I don't know if we've met with Dina. She's come to our meeting in the past. But Kim, were you part of that? Did we meet with Ed, Dr. Graff, or Mr. Graff? It's been off and on, but we can request a meeting with her to bring up these points.
The other committees too, I feel sorry for them. Are you comfortable saying what those other committees were doing that are now giving written report only?
Right. It's a multicultural concerns committee. Mm-hmm. And I believe the special ed committee, which I can't remember the acronym for it, but it's a special ed parent committee.
Oh, sorry. Is it MECAC or EMAC? I always get those two confused.
So it's MECAC, Multicultural Concerns Advisory Committee. Mm-hmm. And I'll look up the special ed one and I'll put it in the chat.
And then in the interim, I'll go ahead and send the notes that I had summarized, and because we had gotten the request and then turned it around really fast, and the messaging of, well, what, it's writing. So what is the first message that you'd want to share? What is the first and most prominent thing? And so out of our last NAC meeting, we had talked about a number of things. But then the first thing that we did list at the forefront is that our families are impacted by COVID. Our grading policies need to be considered. What are these things? Why does our board basically have to come up with a guide to say, who do you need to contact when your student has COVID? It's putting that at the forefront of why are we here and why are we when we look at what our student needs are, and we're most impacted by COVID, I listed that at the top, and then I did go into the other summaries. And so I'm going to send that to you this evening as well. So part of that processing of the write-up, I have time to work with you as well if we want to do that digitally, if we want to, if you want to see what that summary looks like. But, that report I really feel like that is your voice from NAC. So how does that happen? Who writes it up? How do we get there? Do we have a separate, wrap up session, and then share that out before we send it up? Because I can't speak for you. I can summarize for you. And, but that's where I think your voice matters. And I'm trying to take as many notes as I can. So I will share that, summary with you from the last meeting.
Ricky, I can't put it in the chat. So it's called SEAC, Special Education Advisory Council. SEAC, Special Education Advisory Council.
Thank you.
So, is there anything that you want to interject into an agenda for the next meeting? We have an NAC meeting the week after spring break on the 18th. Students will be back in school. We do have the NIEA virtual conference on the 16th and 17th. So if you're interested, you still have time for us to register you into the NIEA. And then the 18th is the NAC. I think Ricky, go ahead.
Oh, thank you. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm working on, for our recruiting for elections on May 6th. The applications are due on the 12th. So when I'm hosting on Thursday, April 8th, tentatively, I'm still planning it, is a virtual meeting with ASD Indigenous staff, encompassing just around a fun, Indigenous stories from our families, specifically folklore, have any of my aunties or uncles or cousins experienced something with hairy men or little men, or silly stories that our grandmas and grandpas told us. It doesn't have to be specifically supernatural like hairy men or little men, but it could be just something silly, or even a recipe. They have a recipe, they do their fish a certain way and they want to share that with us. But just having a fun little digital event like that with me is going to help me recruit for teacher candidates. So I'm wondering if maybe a parent wanted to get in on this and we could have it on a separate day. And if, because it's going to be for ASD staff specifically for mine. But I'm wondering if would there be a parent who'd be interested in working with me to host it for a parent version. And just to give you an example, my example would be that it's a very short story. I was commercial fishing in Ecock, which is a ghost village, because no one lives there year round except for a watchman. It's a commercial fishing village. And when we get there, we get our fish camp ready. We open up the cabins, we clean the maclay, We get driftwood, firewood, we pack water. We just get the whole site ready. And then our first net cast, like we listened to the fishing game announcement on the radio. They said it's open. So we put the net out, and then it started storming that night. And so my aunt said, well, we'll pull it in, high tide, slack. There is nothing slack about that high tide. Like the waves were this tall, and it was raining sideways because it was windy. So we spent 6 hours picking the fish out of that net. And finally, like 6:30 or 7 a.m., the sun was, up and it was out. And I smoked cigarettes back then. So I went back to my cabin. I just went to light one, and I put it in my mouth, and I went to light it. And in the tall grass behind the cabin, probably 50 yards away, I saw a brown knit cap with 2 white stripes come up like this and go down really fast. Like it was hiding from me. I'm like, who is back there at 6 a.m.? That can be nobody but a little man. You know what I mean? So that's my little men story. Like people claim they've never seen one before, or my relatives and friends would claim that they've seen one before. I could truly say that I've seen one, at least the top, like the head of it. So that'd be my example. So the question is there a parent on the committee who'd be willing to host a similar event where you share stories and or recipes from home?
Okay, Ricky, let's game plan.
I could always count on Shannon. We're either motioning or seconding something. Thank you. Yep, I'll email, call, or text you sometime.
Okay.
Well, it is 7:53, and I have some notes and things to send to you. And I didn't know if there's any other public comments or any other things to share before we exit this evening.
We're the second quarter updates officially given. I feel like last time they weren't necessarily accurate, like grades and how students were doing across the board.
Mm-hmm. So it just so happened before the last NAC meeting, or maybe it was the after, the school board did show the quarter 2 data, and I can forward that as well. I think I had sent it after that Monday. I believe it was a Monday that they had shared the secondary quarter 2 data, and I forwarded it on. I'll forward it again because it shows in summary how students did do over that section.
Okay.
But it does not show the courses specifically.
Really quickly to Shannon, are you opposed to having it the same day but just an hour later? So Thursday, April 8th at 7 p.m. instead of 6, because I could still have mine at 6 and then we could continue on to yours at 7.
That seems fine. I don't think I have anything else going on.
I'm trying to think like a parent too. Like I don't have any children to cook dinner for except for myself. So maybe after the workday, have dinner, and then there's an optional story and recipe sharing time at 7.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Okay, I'll still call, email, or text you, and we could hash this out even more. Thank you.
Nishay, I know we didn't specifically answer your question about the headdress and who to go to, but the people to address who enforce the policy that has been accepted by the school board regarding traditional regalia are the Director of Secondary Education and Superintendent Dina Bishop for the headdress and notes. So if that's the level of advocacy, that those would be the two people in the district to contact.
Thank you so much.
And I'll let you know that March 15 is the AP exam course fee due date for students, and we're jumping in there to look into the reimbursement process. We didn't want to do it too early, but now is the time to review that. So thank you for your advocacy.
I took a screenshot of it too last time, Nishay. It says high schools are preparing for outdoor stadium graduations. Each school's graduation dates are shown on the ASD website, and they're happy to announce that graduates will now be able to adorn their customary graduation cap and gown with traditional objects of cultural significance or tribal regalia. And the district notification form for graduations will be available March 1st, but they're due on April 15th.
Thank you so much, Ricky, and thank you so much, Ms. Crystalline, just for always thinking about me. I really appreciate it.
And since Nishay was just speaking, she has some good news for us, some great news. Nishay, can you share with us what you recently shared with me?
Yeah, so I was just named one of the 2 Alaska delegates for United States Senate Youth Program. It's a program where 2 students from each state are elected by the principal and go through a selection process. And I will soon get to virtually meet with Department of State, the Supreme Court justices, the president, and the senators.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
So proud of you.
Well, it doesn't seem like there's much discussion or any other comments, so I think I'll make a motion to adjourn our meeting, Shannon, at 7:59 p.m.
This is Ricky. I'll second.
I can never remember. Do we need to vote on that?
Sure, let's say yay.
So if there's no discussion, all those that vote to end the meeting at 7:59, please vote now.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Anybody opposed? We will now end the meeting. If we could go off the live